In my last video, I beat up on the Don by exploring some old child sex charges against him as exposed by veterans today in 2016. In this video, Gemini AI and I will take a jaundiced look at prostitution and sex crimes in Israel under Bibi Netanyahu. Here are the top search results for prostitution and human rights in Israel. Quote, "The law against consumption of prostitution. Paying for the sexual services of minors is a grave offense, the penalty for which is 5 years imprisonment. Despite this, 3,000 minors are exploited every day in Israel, mainly via social networks and websites." So let's talk about Bibi Netanyahu, the big protector, the God-given leader who changed his name from Miliokowski to sound more like a prophet. He talks about holy soil and purity, but let's talk about the soil he's actually standing on. While he's busy beating the drums of war, there is a pipeline running straight from Eastern Europe into Tel Aviv. We're talking about women, sisters, daughters, brought in under the false promise of work, only to have their passports snatched the minute they arrive. They become ghosts in a system that protects the state, but leaves them in a cage. It is organized white slavery. And the kicker? The government just blinks. They look the other way. Why? Because Bibi needs his friends. He's got these hardline religious partners who argue that a bit of vice on the side is the lesser evil. Some of these rabbis, bless their hearts, actually suggest it's a way to protect manhood or avoid wasting their precious seed. Think about that. You've got a guy claiming to lead the most moral army in the most holy nation, while he's propped up by a political machine that forces human beings into a life of degradation. It's the oldest trick in the book. Wave the flag with your right hand so nobody sees what you're doing with your left hand in the dark. Let's take a deeper look. So how do Israelis treat Palestinian women and children? Here are some choice quotes from Navi Pillay, the chairman of a commission on human rights in Israel. Specific forms of sexual and gender-based violence, such as forced public stripping and nudity, sexual harassment, including threats of rape, as well as sexual assault, comprise part of the Israeli Security Forces' standard operating procedures towards Palestinians. Other forms of sexual and gender-based violence, including rape and violence to the genitals, were committed either under explicit orders or with implicit encouragement by Israelis' top civilian and military leadership, the report said. A climate of impunity also exists with regard to sexual and gender-based crimes committed by Israeli settlers in the West Bank, with the aim of instilling fear into the Palestinian community and expelling them. The exculpatory statement and actions by Israeli leaders and lack of effectiveness shown by the military justice system to prosecute cases and convict perpetrators send a clear message to members of the Israeli security forces that they can continue committing such acts without fear of accountability, said Pillay. In this context, accountability through the International Criminal Court and national courts, through their domestic law or exercising universal jurisdiction, is essential if the rule of law is to be upheld and victims awarded justice. The Commission found that Israeli forces have systematically destroyed sexual and reproductive health care facilities across Gaza. They have simultaneously imposed a siege and prevented humanitarian assistance, including the provision of necessary medication and equipment to ensure safe pregnancies, deliveries, and postpartum and neonatal care. These acts violate women and girls' reproductive rights and autonomy, as well as their right to life, health, founding a family, human dignity, physical and mental integrity, freedom from torture and other cruel, inhuman, degrading treatments, and self-determination and the principle of non-discrimination. Women and girls died from complications related to pregnancy and childbirth due to the conditions imposed by Israeli authorities, which have denied access to reproductive health care and which amount to the crime against humanity of extermination. The Commission found that Israeli authorities have destroyed, in part, the reproductive capacity of Palestinians in Gaza as a group through the systematic destruction of sexual and reproductive health care, amounting to two categories of genocidal acts in the Rome Statute and the Genocide Convention, including deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about the physical destruction of Palestinians and imposing measures intended to prevent births. The targeting of reproductive health care facilities, including through direct attacks on maternity ward and Gaza's main in vitro fertility clinic, combined with the use of starvation as a method of war, has impacted all aspects of reproduction, said Commissioner Pillay. These violations have not only caused severe immediate physical and mental harm and suffering to women and girls, but irreversible long-term effects on the mental health and reproductive and fertility prospects of Palestinians as a group. So, our president has chosen a partner with this disgraceful lot to make total war on a country which encourages the chastity of its women by dressing modestly and wearing of the chador. As for me, I've liked every Iranian that I have ever met, and I am Chicago Mike.